Hello there, Biaka Miyazudesu, and welcome to my review of God of War Ragnarok. So, if you want to check that out, I have already done a review for God of War of 2019, so it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to play Ragnarok, the sequel that follows that game. As you can see, I tried to do a look inspired in Freya's visual, although she's not my favorite character, but we will talk about the characters because there are a lot of characters that are introduced in the second game, and we do have to talk about them because they are really interesting. If you saw my review for God of War, you saw that I wasn't really that excited for a sequel because I thought it was a really solid game and I wasn't really seeing where they would go with the story for a second game. But then again, we know that God of War is about Kratos and Kratos basically killing gods of all mythologies, and we are here in the the North mythology, and we basically, besides him in the first game killing, I think it was one of the sons of Thor, we don't really see him killing gods. So then in this game, it is suggested that he's now going to start Ragnarok to maybe kill more gods than he did on the first game. But this game offers you a new side of Kratos, and I must say that I was really surprised by the way they decided to take the story, the way they decided to portray Kratos and his development as a character. And I think the main key of this is that all the characters have so much attention, so much development, and the story actually captivated me more in the sequel than in the first game. I really consider this game to be, in most aspects, in so many things, better than the first game. I felt like the story, the narrative was really addicting. So let's go by parts. In this game, you have, of course, Kratos and Atreus are the main focus, and once again, their relationship as father and son will be the focus. But then again, we're trying to develop Kratos as trying to go past his murderous spree of killing gods, so developing him beyond that. And we are focusing on Atreus, trying to understand what his role is in all this, trying to understand what it means for him to be Loki, and basically him trying to fight destiny because the giants have predicted a future, and Atreus, because in that future Kratos is killed, Atreus is trying by all means to avoid that future. And of course, we will see more of Faye, and we will see more of her relationship with Kratos through dreams and memories that Kratos has. It's actually really endearing when he dreams about his wife, and we will see what these characters will do. And it's amazing the development they have. We of course will have Freya. So Freya in the first game was really pissed off at Kratos, and I actually talked about that because I was also really pissed off at Freya because Kratos killed her son when Baldur was trying to kill her, and she was really pissed off at that because she was saved, but her son died, and whatever, mother instinct or whatever they want to call it. And Freya is a mess in the beginning of this game, and of course she's trying to kill Kratos. I don't think she has any ill intent for Atreus, which it could be understandable because if he killed her son, she could wish to kill Atreus's revenge. But I think she doesn't have any ill intent against Atreus. And against all odds, she will once again go with Kratos. She will ask for his help to be set free because we know from the first game that Odin is a douchebag, just as always, and made her connected to Midgard, so she can't leave Midgard because he imprisoned. I'm not sure what he imprisoned, but she basically can't leave, and she will ask Kratos for help to be able to destroy the things that tie her to Midgard, to be able to travel. And they will build a team of characters that are against Odin. And you will see a lot of Odin in this game, and Odin really is a douchebag. There's nothing likable about Odin. Odin and Heimdall. I don't understand how a character that is introduced in just this game and will also disappear in this very same game can be so annoying. So he's a really terrible, not a terrible character because he's a well done character, but he's so arrogant, so awful in his personality. But he is a really interesting character. And you will meet a lot of other gods. You will see more about Thor. So Thor has his family, and he's basically Odin's lapdog. He's trying to be a good son, but Odin doesn't even see him as his son. He just sees like some kind of slave, some kind of mindless minion that does everything that he tells them to do. And Odin is so heartless. He will even, when Thor finally decides to stand up and say, no, what you're doing are wrong, Odin doesn't even hesitate. It just kills him in the spot. How much of a horrible person slash god can you be? And you will also see Sif. Sif has a really beautiful design. For me, she's like a Rapunzel in a blue dress, but she has a really beautiful design. I think Sif, if I must say that a character was underdeveloped in this game, I must say that character is Sif. Because she's introduced as a mother that doesn't want to let her daughter do what she wants. Third is Sif's and Thor's daughter, and she wants to join the Valkyries. And her mother doesn't let her not because she's against her being a warrior, but because she knows the Valkyries are being mind controlled by Odin. But you only find that out later in the game. So she's introduced as kind of a really strict mother, but then you see that she's just trying to protect her daughter, trying to keep her family together because Thor and his family are really falling apart due to Odin being a douchebag. And it's really interesting to see this family dynamic. I mean, you forget this game is about gods because they are really focusing on the human connections between gods. You know what I mean? The relationships between them. And Thor is a mess. He drinks to forget, and he doesn't take care neither of Sith or Thor. So it's all around a mess. And then you have Angrboda. Angrboda is for me my favorite character. I love the Angrboda character. I like how socially awkward she is. I like how she's a great artist because she's also painting murals. I don't know if she helped with the murals that talk about the visions, the future. But yes, she does amazing art, and she's a really supportive character of Atreus. And the small moment that you have at the end where Kratos is also interacting with Angrboda, seeing her talk with Atreus and basically giving that father approval to his son is amazing. And once again, what I loved in the first game, which was the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, is once again portrayed here because they still bump heads from time to time, but you see that they are really the main focus for each of them. When Kratos learns of his death, he doesn't fear death. He fears dying before giving all the knowledge and all the tools for Kratos to survive without him. And Atreus is by all means trying to save his father. The stories that they share, the development of Kratos' characters, even though you are able to play with Atreus, I really like to play with Atreus because you have a different sense of the gameplay with Atreus. So Kratos is more slow, heavy in the combat that he does, and Atreus is much more agile, and in his berserk mode he turns into a wolf, which is also fun to play with. He's much more quick in the way that he fights. Being able to shoot arrows is also a really huge help, because I really like being able to fight long distance. So it's really different kinds of gameplay, even though I think sometimes Atreus tries to do some stuff like his father. I mean, it was really funny to see him trying for the first time to break a chest with his fist, because Kratos does that all the time. But yeah, even though this story, you have the gameplay divided between the two, because there are moments where Atreus is separated from Kratos, and the story really tries to focus more on Atreus, because this is his journey about being lucky, trying to decide where he belongs, what he wants to do to save his father, if he will join or not Odin. I feel like the character between the two of them, the character that has most development is really Kratos, because you see him grow past him being God of War. So his answer for everything is violence, and then suddenly, when his son is struggling with his emotions, trying to shut them off so he can focus on the moment, on the battle, Kratos stops everything and he says, don't do that. Give in to your feelings, because that's who you are. And I never thought in a game like God of War I would cry, and I cried twice, because their relationship is so beautiful, so wholesome. And then you see also Kratos getting emotional. He's finally his heart that was locked away for so long. Faye tried to push it out, and finally the one that succeeded was Atreus, and he really cries his heart out, basically. And you can also see a very beautiful moment at the end of the game, where he sees in the murals of the future, he sees that one day people will worship him. And that's actually a really powerful moment, because Odin, when he's talking to Kratos, he says, you're a god of war, but you don't know what it's like for people to have expectations of you, to worship you. And then in the mural you see people do that for him, and he's really emotional about that, and it's a really powerful moment. So talking about the gameplay, I think the biggest change for this game is the fact that you play with Atreus. And when you are with Kratos, instead of having Atreus support you, you have Freya, because Freya, she also grows past her hatred for what Kratos did, understands that her true enemy is Odin, and becomes his ally. And so the one that will accompany you and use magic and all of that stuff is Freya. So basically the combat for Kratos is what you know from the God of War of 2018. Atreus, he basically uses the same kind of controls. The only difference is the kind of combat that he does, because once again, he's more agile, quick, on his feet. He doesn't do a lot of damage, because Kratos is heavier, but he does a lot more damage in the way that he swings the axe and all that stuff. Kratos also has a new weapon in this game, because now he has the spear that really brings back the Spartan that he is. And one thing that I really struggled in this game is the combination of enemies. So in the first game, they would throw you a kind of enemy, and you had to deal with that. And in this game, the fights are really difficult, because they put you more than two or more powerful enemies. The grind, you have grind with different types of mechanics. It's so difficult to do the fights. In the other game, I died in boss battles. In this game, the boss battles were sometimes easier to do, because it was just one kind of enemy. I just had to memorize one pattern and I would be done with it. And in this game, I died too many times to grind because they do a lot of damage, and sometimes some combinations of enemies, it was just too overwhelming. But the gameplay is what you know from the first game. The visual part is really well done. The soundtrack is amazing. I'm sorry, I'm the one music I'm not a fan of is the ending song that they decided to do. I'm sorry, I don't see how that reflects God of War's tone. Choices, I guess. But the soundtrack throughout the game is amazing. The performances of the actors, voice actors. In this game, it's motion capture, so I guess it's actors. The story is really powerful. I really recommend this game. I love this game. When the Game Awards were announced, Elden Ring won, but honestly, for me, of course, I didn't play Elden Ring, so I can't say about that game. But this one, for the story, the gameplay is innovative. No, it isn't. It's what you know of these kinds of games. But the story was just amazing. If I have to criticize one thing in the story, was that the final part, the Ragnarok itself, I felt like it was a little bit rushed. I felt like there was information missing, stuff that needed to be seen, that needed to have a better conclusion. But I guess in overall it was a really well done experience. I don't know if they are going to make another game because you can see Kratos being worshipped, so maybe they are going to explore that. We are gonna see finally an adult Atreus. I don't know, but it's a wonderful experience, really. Just for the story, please see it. I almost forgot, we also have another character, Tyr, but we shouldn't talk about Tyr because actually that's Odin. And basically you aren't seeing another character. That's why he never helps with fights, and not because he's a pacifist. But the reveal of him actually being Odin was really interesting, and it's also a really divisive moment because you lose someone and then you have people being heartbroken and the group falls a little bit apart at that moment. But yeah, just check this game if you haven't played it yet because it's a really wonderful and epic adventure. So that's basically it. I'm waiting to see if they are going to make another God of War announcement. Who knows? If they stop here, I'm also happy with that. If they continue, I would gladly pick that up if the story continues to be as good as it was. Because I think God of War Ragnarok is really, it's 100% well done in the narrative. So please leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your favorite characters, your favorite moments, if you cried like I did. But then again, I cry really easily when the story really is able to move me in an emotional sense. So if you like this kind of content, please like this video, subscribe. Also check my Twitch channel where I'm always playing games every day. And thank you so much for being there, and may music always be your life force.